1 is on midsegments of a triangle. So a midsegment is a special segment in a triangle, and it connects two midpoints. So it says if a segment joins the midpoints of two sides of a triangle, then the segment is parallel to the third side, and it ends up being half as long. Okay, so basically if these measurements, you don't have to write this, are like 5 and 5 and 6 and 6, we'd be like, oh, it's halfway between each of those sides, right? That means that this side would end up being half of whatever this side is. Does that make sense? Okay, and that's a special word. It's called a midsegment, so you'll need to know that word midsegment. So number 1, it says find x. So when we see these markings on a triangle and we realize, oh wait, we have these two are equal to each other and we have these two are equal to each other, that means that this is a midsegment. So if we have a midsegment, we know that midsegment is half of this other side, the 45. Okay, so we can write this in two different ways. You could say the midsegment, which is x minus 1, is half of 45, or we can write it in a different way. What's the easiest way to write this? Yeah, twice the midsegment equals the longer side, right? Does that make sense? That way you don't have to deal with those fractions. So we're going to have 2x minus 2 equals 45. So 2x equals 47. So x equals 47 over 2. Okay, you could write that as a decimal if you want, or you can just leave it like that. All right, so then it says identify pairs of parallel segments. So I said when you have a midsegment, that segment is parallel, the midsegment is parallel to the longer side next to it, okay? So like UY is going to be parallel with what side? Cam, you with me? So UY is going to be parallel to what? VX. Do you guys all see that in the picture? Okay, and let's try some other ones. So what if I have this one, this midsegment in red? So if I do UW, it's going to be parallel to TX. Okay, and then there's one more. WY is going to be parallel to BT. All right, we know that because we have all those markings, that means that all of those are midsegments. Okay, does this make sense? This really isn't a very hard section, midsegments of triangles. All right, so let's try some more. So number 3 says find x and y. So we see lots of congruence marks. So we check and we're like, okay, yep, this is congruent to this. This is congruent to this. So that means that this y is going to be half of the 2x plus 1. But that's not really helping us, is it? So I'm going to say 2y equals 2x plus 1 instead of saying half of 2x plus 1 equals y. So what's the issue with this? Why can I not solve this equation? Yeah, we have x and we have y, so we need more than one variable, right? So this might be a system of equations, right, where we have two equations that have x and y. We could definitely have those situations, but let's see if there's other midsegments that might help. So how about this midsegment? Well, there's no measurement on that one, right? Does it make sense? So I can't say anything about the black midsegment and that one over there. Do we have any other ones? Yeah, how about this one? So x and 3x minus 6. So what equation do I want to write? So if I have x and I have 3x minus 6. Cam, wake up. Think. Be an active note taker. Remember I say this like a broken bell. Broken bell. Well, it doesn't make any sense. Broken record. What's the saying? All right, so I have x and I have 3x minus 6. So do I do x equals 3x minus 6? Yeah, double x, right? Twice x equals 3x minus 6. Then I'm able to solve for x. So I subtract my 3x over, I get negative x equals negative 6. So x equals 6. Once you have x, we can use this other equation. So I'm just going to move it down here. Don't you guys wish you could do that on your notebook? Just move things around. So I have 2y equals 2x plus 1. Well, now I know what x is. So I plug it in. I do 2 times 6 plus 1 is equal to 2y. So 2y equals 13. So y is 13 over 2, or you could write 6.5 if you want. Those are our two answers. Make sense? Now, could I have situations where I have like systems of equations? Totally. I could have two equations that have x and y. I should have done that on the homework. Missed opportunity. Maybe I did. We'll see. All right, so number 4. So let's try this one. So it says AB is a midsegment. Find x, y, and z. Okay, so now we're telling you that AB is a midsegment. And we know the definition of a midsegment. A midsegment is the segment that joins the midpoint of two sides. So based on that, I can draw things in. I can draw those two markings in. And I can draw these two markings in. This allows me to find x, y, and z. How about the equation for x? I have 2x and I have x plus 6. Do I set them equal to each other? No. Which one's bigger? The x plus 6. So I'm going to say x plus 6 equals 2 times the 2x. So x plus 6 equals 4x. So I get x is equal to 2. All right, and then I need the other equation. So do I do like 4y plus 1 equals twice the 6y minus 11? What's the difference on this one? So Cassie, you're shaking your head. Why? These are equal to each other. These are midpoints, right? Like we have a midpoint at A. So we know that 4y plus 1 has to equal 6y minus 11. These two were the same. All right, and we solve it out. So I get 2y minus 11 equals 1. 12 equals 2y. What do we get for y? 6. All right, then the same thing with these two. So I get 10z minus 16 equals 3z plus 5. So I get 7z equals 21, so z is equal to 3. All right, does that make sense? Do you guys get it? All right, try the next one. So it says PQ is a midsegment. So I want you to solve for x. Okay, so on this one, you should have set your x plus 85. If you double that, you end up getting the 3x plus 46. Why? Because we knew that PQ was a midsegment, so it has to be half the length of the side across from it, or the side next to it. So we get 2x plus 170 equals 3x plus 46. So when you subtract 170, you get 126 equals x. Is that right? 126, that's not right. 124? 124, 46, yeah. Is that right? Okay, so x is 124. Now, do I need that other information? Not necessarily. Do these two need to be equal to each other, like PS and RQ? No, those don't need to be equal to each other. This distance here, PS, has to equal PR. So let's say I asked a second part to this question, and I said find RT. And I wanted to find the whole length from R to T. What would I have to do? I'd have to plug in the 124 to get this distance RQ, which would be 124 plus 50. So I'd get 174. And then how would I find RT? Yeah, Cam?
Add 174 to it.
Add 174 to itself, right? So when you add 174 and 174, what do we get? It's Monday after Thanksgiving.
248.
Close, 348. Thank you for trying. All right, so yeah, 348. All right, next up. Oh, that's it. So let's stop there. I'll let you guys work on your homework for now, and then we'll try that next section in a little bit.